the museums, the food, and the shopping, and of course the monuments. I'm the NYC Traveler, and we're in Paris, France. Paris, so much to see and so much to do. It's hard to do it all in one trip, so before you get here, plan to come back. We're just going to give a quick intro and some of the highlights of the main city. You can arrive to Paris a variety of ways. I've come in by plane from the US and by train from London and Amsterdam. Prior to getting here, make sure you know how you're getting to town. Hired car or the train. Know that for the most part, with the train, you'll be dealing with two systems, the local metro and the regional RER. The maps and information booths will help you out. Also, it kind of helps to learn what your stops sound like in French and how to read them. Most of the announcements will be made in French. Pay attention when you buy your tickets, how much the ticket is for, where you're going, and most importantly, if you have to validate the ticket before you get on a regional train. Now that you've made it to town, let's get to your lodging. Hotels can be luxurious on a European vacation, but it can also be fun and cheaper to stay in a vacation rental apartment. You'll get a great experience living like a local in a real French neighborhood. Okay, you're in your lodging. Now drop your bags and let's go out and explore the city of Paris. Paris is divided into districts called arrondissements, and the left and right banks are down the middle. It helps to know where you're staying and where you're going, so it's good if you are comfortable with public transit called the Metro. If you can, start exploring while it is light out, daytime, so that you can find your way at night, and carry a good map with you. The Louvre Museum is in the first arrondissement, and it's like the center. The districts all spin out in a spiral, and there are 20, but don't worry, they are a lot closer than you think, sometimes within blocks of each other and all accessible by metro. The city is divided by the Seine River, which comes alive at night. In the center, Notre Dame, the famous cathedral. Many visitors first head to the Louvre Museum, usually to see the Mona Lisa by Leonardo da Vinci. The first thing you see is all the crowds, and the second thing you notice is how small the portrait is. But the Louvre, which used to be a palace, is pretty impressive itself and has much more to see. Don't forget to look up. The famous pyramid entrance was added in the 1980s, and it's an attraction itself, day or night. It's easy to get caught up staying in the Louvre all day, but there's so much more to see in Paris. After the Louvre, head out and take in the first of the 3 arches that you will find, Le Carrousel. After the first arch, enjoy the Tuileries Garden, which was created for the Tuileries Palace. It's a beautiful garden to stroll through with lots to do. Strolling through the Tuileries Garden will lead you to La Place de la Concorde, famous from many movies. The plaza has an interesting history, including being the site where King Louis XVI, Marie Antoinette, and others were beheaded. Now don't forget to remember where you're staying and how to get back, because after La Place, you can head straight on to ChampsElysees and spend some euros shopping or eating. Keep walking down the ChampsElysees and head right to the second arch, l'Arc de Triomphe. 12 avenues form a star and head out from the arch. You might be surprised how busy it is. You can see this by going to the top. The monument honors war heroes, including the tomb of the unknown soldier from World War I. Doubling back down the Champs-Élysées and past the Place de Concorde, you will head over to Le Musée L'Orangerie, which did not allow photos inside. This museum is famous for the mural-sized Monet water lilies. You can also see one of them at New York's Museum of Modern Art, which does allow photos inside. Across from the Louvre Museum, go across the Seine River to the Musée d'Orsay, famous for one of the pourings of Degas' sculpture, Little Dancer of 14 Years. The museum did not allow photos of the sculpture when I was there, but there is one at the Smithsonian in Washington, D.C., and one at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York City. After you've gotten enough art, it's time to explore other arrondissements of Paris. Hop on the metro and see the Moulin Rouge, close to the Montmartre district. See the can-can dances. They could be a bit pricey, so you can head to a cafe instead and take in the artsy environment. While you're there, as you visit the Sacré-Cœur Church, you'll see another fabulous view of Paris. And if the windmill at Moulin Rouge is not enough, there are a couple more near Montmartre. If you're feeling particularly philosophical, the Musée Rodin is the place to be. After seeing the house, and where you will learn that there's probably more than one pouring of a sculpture, the tour continues on the fabulous grounds. Le Tour Eiffel, or the Eiffel Tower, is one of the most popular attractions, of course. It was built for the 1889 World's Fair. You can see it from all around the city. Pay attention to the weather though. The upper levels may close suddenly, and unfortunately there are no refunds. The big highlight of the Eiffel Tower comes out at night with a sparkling show. Back at the center of Paris is the Notre Cathedral. It sits on an island, Ile de la Cité, and it's famous not only as a church, but for its gargoyles and as an architectural innovation for its use of flying buttresses that supported the building. You can walk down to the Pont des Arts, the Lock Bridge. Officials have removed most of them for a while, but then people started putting them back again. The lock started damaging the bridge. Let's see what happens now. If you have a feel for the dark side, tour the catacombs. Fair warning, it is a series of tunnels underground, damp, dark, cold, and the skeletons are exposed. But the skeletons that are buried there were once alive, and the plaques tell the stories of some of them to preserve the humanity of the gravesite. Of course, after all that walking around and touring and sightseeing, it's the food that calls many to Paris. Along with the typical sidewalk cafes near the tourist attractions, try to find a local spot for cheese, wine, and bread to bring back to your lodging after a long day of touring. Here are a few more sights that you just might see while meandering the streets of Paris. But for the romantics, there's nothing like Paris at night. No wonder they call it the City of Light. There's so much more that we did not get to. The music scene, performances, and of course, more to eat. We'll visit Versailles, Reims, Giverny, Roland Garros Tennis Center, Disneyland Paris, and much more in other episodes. Like we said in the beginning, plan to come back. I'm the NYC Traveler. Bon voyage.